What is going on, YouTube, and welcome back to another video, another Monday motivational video. So today's video, we got a topic that is very important to me, obviously. If you're new to the channel, my name is Bryce Dettorre. I am a husband, I am a father, I'm a sped teacher, and I'm a Spartan enthusiast. I love doing Spartan races, Dettorre races, high rocks. A little bit about me, or a little bit of background about me, but I want to jump straight into the actual topic. I like to keep these Monday motivation videos very quick, to the point, gives you guys some knowledge to set up your week for success. So what we're going to talk about today is your kids will make decisions in life, some decisions that could shape their entire life based on the man that you choose to be and the man that they see you as at the end of the day. Because the way you show up every single day, I hate to break it to you, could be the determining factor of whether their life is happy, healthy, filled with greatness, or it's a life of regret based on the choices you make. And I know that's a lot to handle, but I know this personally because of the choices that my own father made that have impacted me drastically in my life. So let's talk about these choices that you will make. Here's what most men don't realize is I don't think they realize that you are your child's first male model. So whether you are being a role model for your son or your daughter, they are watching how you talk, how you respond, how you treat others, how you treat their mother, how you handle stress, how you handle adversity, how you carry yourself in public, and most importantly, how you carry yourself when no one's watching. And based on that, that's how they build their mental blueprint of the kind of person that they're going to end up being. You got to realize that you're not just raising your child. You're raising someone's future husband, future wife, future leader, future parent, future teacher, future nurse. And the way you show up will echo into their entire life. And I know that's a lot, but that's how you have to see this. You have to take this role or this job, whatever you want to call it, very serious. So let me tell you a story of why I believe this personally so deeply. Such a good way or a testament of how much a father's choices can impact their child's entire life. So growing up, my dad never drank, ever. One, I think it's because he even said there was 5 of us, so we couldn't really afford to buy soda for the kids and then alcohol for him. So what he did is, instead of buying alcohol, he would just basically spend money on soda and drinks that we could all drink as a family. So I never saw him drink. He was always told, don't drink, obviously, like every good parent out there tells their child. But there was one situation where my older brother, I think he was 17 or so in high school, being a normal high school student, he came home drunk from a party, and my dad realized that. And I'll never forget the interaction that my older brother and my dad had, but my dad's reaction to him coming home drunk, the look on my dad's face of just basically being let down, as disappointed in my brother at the end of the day. And I've had conversations with my older brother, and honestly, if I was in my older brother's shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. And I told my brother, I said, you were a huge role model for me in this situation, because unfortunately he didn't have anybody that he could watch do this. He was the oldest, and he went out and would make some mistakes that basically allowed all of us to learn from. That's why I respect my older brother, and he's a phenomenal older brother. But I'll never forget the way my dad looked of just pure disappointment. And I was very close to my dad. I'm still very close with my dad. My dad was my best man in my wedding. That's how close my dad and I are. And that look I'll never forget, to the point where I was like, I never want to do that to my dad. I never want to disappoint my dad. I hold my dad on like a superhero, untouchable, can solve all problems, can fix all issues, like just this, like a pedestal. I guess that would be the easiest way to say it. So I never wanted to do that. And when I got into high school, I had my older sister there. So I realized, like, hey, if I was to drink or anything, obviously my sister's going to know. And then her being a good older sister, she's going to tell my dad. It's going to get back to my dad. Therefore, I can't drink. Because, again, I had that visual in my head of what his face would look like if I came home drunk or if he found out I ever drank. When my sister left high school, my other sister came right in. So I was a junior, she was a freshman. I now had my little sister there, which means as my junior and senior year in high school, if I was out partying or drinking or anything, my little sister would find out. That's what I was afraid of. And then obviously my little sister would have told my dad, meaning my dad would have found out and I would have saw that face on my dad in regards to something I did. That fear, I don't even know if it was fear, because I never was afraid of my dad. And I've never been afraid of my dad, but I've always had a crazy amount of respect for my dad. So when I got out of high school, it was kind of like I've already gone through 4 years of not drinking. Now I have no desire to drink. And again, my dad never drank. I mean, I think there was a couple times we went to a party and maybe he had a beer, right? Like it wasn't, but I never have an image of my dad with a beer in his hand. It's always, I literally have an image of my dad with a Diet Dr. Pepper in his hand. So that prevented me from drinking all through high school, when most kids obviously drink. That's what, normal kids do. But I never drank out of respect for my dad. And to this day, I've never drank. Well, I can't say I've never drank. I've had sips. And like one example I tell people is one time we went to Cancun, me and my wife, for our honeymoon, and everybody was telling us like, oh, be careful of the alcohol. Apparently the cartel is like poisoning it or something like that or whatever. Well, out of fear, if my wife got a drink, if Cassie got a drink, like a margarita or something, I'd always take the first sip, because at that point it was like Romeo and Juliet. I was like, if you're going, I'm going for sure. Like there's no way I'm about to go through life without you. Like so I had a couple sips. But I have no desire to drink. And I don't know if it's just because in the back of my head I still just have so much respect for my dad. And I know my dad wouldn't care if I drank. But it's, again, I have him on this pedestal. Another way that my dad influenced me is I've never been in a fight in my life. And the reason I've never been in a fight in life is there's two basically stories that I have of my dad that really impacted me, okay? One, I remember I was in 5th grade. I think it was 5th grade. I was supposed to fight some kid over some girl. The guy wanted to fight me. The guy was way bigger than me, so he probably would have handed my stuff to me. However, my dad found out after because my little sister told him. Shout out to Haley. And my dad told me, like, why are you going to fight that guy? And being a 5th grade boy, I was just like, oh, so I could get some respect. And I learned something looking back on it that day, that as a father, sometimes less words is more powerful than like a whole-on sentence. My dad said a phrase to me, and it was basically like, back then there was no mic drop, but it would have been a mic drop situation. My dad said, if you get in a fight with him, after, because I basically told him, I said, it's to gain respect. And he said, tell you what, if you get in any fight, you'll lose all my respect. And then Papa John basically just walked out of the room. And that was enough, because again, I have my dad as this superhero pedestal, can do no wrong, solve all problems, fix all issues kind of man. I didn't want to lose his respect. I could care less about the guy I was about to fight. I could care less about all what the kids at school thought. I didn't want to lose the respect of my dad. And again, I wasn't afraid of my dad. Like, it's not like, oh, my dad's going to hit me or my dad's going to punish me. I can't even remember actually if my dad ever punished me. But it was the amount of respect that I have for this man that I'm like, I want his approval. I want to be respected by my dad. Like, that was like a goal for me, to the point where it carried over even into high school. That when I was on the field, anytime I'd score a touchdown or make a good tackle or do any good play and then run to the sideline, I wouldn't go to my coach. I wouldn't go to my boys to, like, celebrate or anything. I would literally run to the sideline and look up into the stands and try and find my dad so that he could give me some feedback. He would either say good job, he would either say stay low, he would either say wrap up, he would either say, whatever. But it was, again, that respect that I had for my dad, and I wanted him to respect me as a man. And I think at the end of the day, there was something I always took very serious too, was my last name, my name. Like, Dettorre came from my dad. My middle name is my dad's first name. Like, so I always held pride, I guess you could say, or respect for my name, because it was like, that's my dad at the end of the day. And I truly believe when a father leads with consistency and strength like my dad did, a child won't want to rebel. If anything, they'll want to rise to the standard that their father has set. Because your influence as a father isn't measured in rules, it's measured in your respect. I had a lot of respect for my dad. My dad had rules, but it's like, I didn't pay attention to the rules. I paid attention to my dad's respect. So I guess you could say the rules were easy to follow. And another thing, kids don't follow advice. They don't follow the things you tell them. They follow examples. A lot of fathers will tell their kids, don't drink, don't fight, stay out of trouble, make good choices. Yet, at the same time, they're drinking. They lash out when they're angry. They disrespect people. They avoid responsibility. They avoid accountability. They cut corners. They choose comfort over integrity. Like, this is what the average father or the average dad will do. The average kid will not follow your advice. They'll copy your behavior, that's for sure. And from a leadership standpoint, just from watching and being in situations where I've had to follow someone who was in a leadership role. This goes for your kids, this goes for your wife, this goes for your coworkers. When your actions and words don't match, kids stop listening at the end of the day. But when your behavior lines up with your message, with what you're preaching, then your kids will stand taller. They'll rise up and they'll follow basically the example that you are setting. So when it comes to the power of a father's respect, speaking from personal experience, and I hope that I have the same influence on my children when they get older, is when I was young, the thought that shaped me wasn't, I don't want to get in trouble. That never really crossed my mind. It was, I want my dad at the end of the day to be very proud of who I'm becoming. And that's the kind of influence that a father can have on their child. Not control, not fear, not punishment, but respect. And respect, it's earned through integrity, it's earned through consistency, it's earned through presence, it's earned through strength, it's earned through discipline, it's earned through character. And take it from someone who lived it and has experience in this situation. When your child respects you, they will protect your name because they know it's tied to you. It's tied to you at the end of the day. And that's where I really think my dad had such an influence on me, was the amount of respect that I had for that man. I still have for that man. Now I'm gonna get real with you for a second, because this is like, you can't avoid this if you are a father. Your child might one day stand in a moment that could change everything. 30 seconds, minute, 5 minutes, whatever it may, a decision in that moment could change their life forever. It could be a party with alcohol. It could be a group of friends making a really dumb decision, a conflict that could turn into a fight, that could turn into something worse outcome from that fight, a moment of pressure, a moment of temptation. These are all things that you can't protect your child from. It's gonna happen. And in that second, unfortunately, you won't be there. But if you influenced your child like my father did, then your influence will be there. And the question you need to ask yourself is, what version of you will they hear in their head? Will they hear the man who avoided responsibility, or the man who lived his entire life with discipline? The man who preached all the time but didn't practice, or the man whose life echoed the standards he set? Your choices today build their compass for tomorrow. Your kids need a father who shows up, who stays grounded, leads with calm strength, lives what he teaches, protects their future with his example, makes discipline look normal of an everyday life, makes respect a certain standard that he holds, makes character non-negotiable. You have to stand for your character, and the father that they look up to becomes the voice inside their head when you're not around. When my dad was not around, I still had his voice inside my head, shaping my decisions of what I was gonna do in that moment. That's leadership. That's legacy. So guys, it really just comes down to this. Your influence as a father, I don't know if you realize this or not, is far greater than you realize. And like I said, speaking from experience, the way my dad lived his life shaped the decisions I made. It kept me out of trouble in a lot of situations. It guided my judgment. It gave me direction. And all of that, at the end of the day, protected my future, because I never was, I'm not saying I wasn't in positions where I could have made a bad decision, but I didn't make a bad decision in that split second because of the amount of influence my father had on me. And I would say that's power. That's the power of influence. And you have that same influence. So today, ask yourself something. What choices will your child make today because of the man you are becoming? What doors will open or close because of my example? What legacy am I living out in front of them? So you have to lead with strength, you have to lead with consistency, and you have to lead with respect at the end of the day. You have to lead with respect. And like I've said before, your children don't need a dad who is perfect, but they do need a dad and a father who is worth looking up to. You should make that your mission this week. Become the man / superhero that your child wants to look up to. Make that your mission this week. I'll see you guys next Monday.